Okay, welcome to our Impact webinar, Lesson Plan Feedback, a time-efficient way to add value to the lesson plan review and feedback process. When I travel to different schools, I am amazed at the number of things that I see in classes that could be avoided had someone read the lesson plan. There are many pedagogy mistakes that teachers make that you can prevent if you read the lesson plan. But the problem with reading the lesson plan is that sometimes it takes too long. And so a lot of instructional leaders, or, I'll say quite a few school administrators, they just don't read them, okay? Even though we require our teachers to do them, okay? So this is a part of their growing process as well as your own, because as the instructional leader, you need to be able to identify what your teachers need in order for their capacity to expand in order to get to your goal. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am only going to be up here 45 minutes unless you want me to be up here longer asking me questions. Okay, I see you, Miss Billy. You're okay. Gotcha. All right, let's rock. All right, so I am your host today. I am Dr. Deidre Stevens. I am fun-loving, if you haven't figured that out yet. I have a gorgeous smile and I know it, okay? I love my family. I have great passion for education, preferably improvement schools. I am addicted to transformational coaching and transforming schools because I have been successful doing it like so many times. It's ridiculous, okay? And usually they only need a few things, all right? So I love doing it. If you want to talk about it, let me know, okay? I have been a teacher, transformational coach, assistant principal, dean of instruction. I've been a principal. My favorite job has been the assistant principal and dean of instruction. I think to me, they're synonymous, but that has been my favorite job. I do have a company, a consulting company, Impact Teaching, Training, and Leadership Development, who is sponsoring this webinar today. And we have a goal of reaching all 20,012 schools that have been placed on the 2019 transformation list for the United States. I know you want to laugh, but I'm telling you, we're going to touch those schools or impact those schools in any way, like this webinar that you are on today, because you will be counted in those schools if you are attending a transformational school or leading that school. So far we have impacted 44 schools. We have 19,968 more schools to go, and we are going to add you to this list because I'm going to ask you at the end, do I have any improvement schools on this webinar? And you will be counted in that list. Okay, I'm going to ask for the name of your school and you will be counted in that list because we have impacted you. So we want to impact schools in the way of webinars, literature, actually consulting at their schools, on site, online, however we can do it, individual coaching with our administrators or instructional leaders or teachers, however we can impact, we want to impact. So my team looked at me like I was crazy when I said 20,012 schools we will do by 2032, all right? But we will do it because I have been called to this and I know it. All right. So as I've already stated, Impact, we do coaching and development support for teachers. And we are also facilitating instructional leadership. Sometimes people call us in to develop their leadership teams. And sometimes people call us in to coach their teachers. All right. Are you ready? Okay, I wish I knew the button for drum roll, but I don't. So I'm gonna go, boo. All right, drum roll. That was my drum roll. Let's go. If anyone knows me, they know I say that all the time. All right. So if you have to whisper it, in your seat? Let's go. Just say it. Let's go, because we're about to learn. Now, this webinar assumes that you already have PLCs in place, okay? It assumes that. If you don't, that is fine, okay? We'll talk about that later. Maybe that can be something else that I can help you with, all right? It also assumes that you already have social emotional, like SEL protocols, and you're using your counselors and all of that. Now, you don't have to have those things in place to do what I'm telling you. I just kind of wanted to fast forward to eliminate the excuse of, well, you don't know my kids. I'm telling you, I know your kids. I'm telling you that I have, sweetheart, there is nothing that you can share with me that I have not experienced something similar or close to it, unless it just includes TikTok, because it wasn't invented when I was, an administrator. But other than that, honey, you really, like the general aspect or behavior or whatever you're talking about, you will not shock me. I promise. Okay. So I just wanted to fast forward and eliminate all excuses, because you can do this process. It doesn't matter what your school is like. Okay. All right. And it also assumes that you have focused instructional strategies you are using in your building to improve instructional delivery. So that means I wanted to eliminate the excuse of, well, our teachers are all over the place, yada, yada, yada. Listen, I am assuming that you do have certain instructional strategies that you are focusing on, even if it's one. You have something that your teachers need capacity in. And so I am assuming that you already have the knowledge of that, okay, based on what you have seen in your classes as you have conducted your walkthroughs, all right? Okay, so before we get started, let's review, honey, because sometimes we don't all have the same level of training. So I just want to make sure that we all start on the same level before I continue. This is going to be so quick. You're going to be like, oh my God, why didn't I know this before? Because I hadn't told you yet. All right, let's rock. So I want you to put in the chat, what are the 4 essential questions for PLCs? If you don't know what PLCs are, they are professional learning communities. There are 4 critical questions for professional learning communities. I need you to start putting in the chat or listing in the chat, what are those 4 questions? Even if you can only think of one, put that one in there. I want to see what you know. I see you, Ms. Hughes. What do we want students to know? Absolutely. I see you, Billiot. What do we want the students to know and be able to do? I love it. Somebody is Googling. It's okay. Use your resources. I hear you. Okay, I hear you. Okay, I see you guys. I see you. This is interesting. Okay, great. How will we teach it? Okay, I see you, Ms. Hughes. How will we measure it if they learn it? Okay, I see you, Billiot. Great. I love it. Okay, so the 4 critical questions of professional learning communities are: 1, what do we want students to learn? This is very important, okay? This is extremely important. What do we want students to learn? 2, how will we know if they have learned it? 3, what will we do if they don't learn it? And 4, what will we do if they have learned it? Now I'm going to go through the breakdown of instructional strategies that are associated with these 4 questions, because as an instructional leader, good job, Ms. Hughes. She's like, oh yeah, I remember, good. All right, so as the instructional leader of your campus, it helps your process to go quicker if you understand the instructional strategies that are associated with each question. I'm telling you, when I go on all of these campuses around the United States, I'm telling you, there are like the number of strategies that are needed on all of the campuses are not the same, but could be, right? So in terms of all of the schools that I visited, I have seen the same need for strategies, okay? So let's go back up to, what do you want students to learn? That is associated with teachers being able to unpack standards and understand what the standards mean, right? So being able to understand what the standards mean. And if your teacher has an issue with unpacking standards, then what you're going to see is you're not going to see that alignment in your lesson plan. That's what that means, right? You're not going to see the alignment. How will we know if they have learned it, right? Or actually, let's go back to number one. It also has to do with content knowledge, right? So understanding exactly what am I supposed to teach. So you're talking about your standards, and then you're also talking about content knowledge here, okay? How will we know if they have learned it? Assessment all day long. Do we have a goal for that class, or do we have an exit ticket associated with this lesson plan? Or are there check for understandings throughout this lesson plan? Is that present, right? If it's not, you get what you plan for. If you didn't even plan for it, you're not going to get it, which is why you need to have preventative, you need to have conversations on the front end instead of the back end. All right. So number two has to do with assessment. I hope you're writing this down. Question 3, what will we do if they don't learn it? And question 4, what will we do if they do learn it? Those two questions have to do with what? I'm gonna see if you can tell me. Tell me a strategy that you can think of that would connect to what will we do if they don't learn it? And what will we do if they do learn it? What strategy does that connect to? Let's go, Billy. That's what I'm. Yes, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. And that's an overwhelming need, especially now with the COVID gap, right? So you need to be a beast in differentiated instruction right now because of the number of gaps that they have increased throughout COVID, right? So if you don't know how to do that, it can be very difficult, right? And I know I'm getting a little off, but I have to say that because I need you to understand that more times than not, the reason why your teachers are not differentiating instruction is because of the time that it takes in order to do it, right? It's the same as the reason why instructional leaders may not read the lesson plan is because of the time that is associated with it, right? So I'm speaking somebody's, okay, Mr. Miles, I'm speaking your language today. So the reason why differentiation is not being seen is because there is no shortcut to differentiated instruction. You cannot download that. You cannot go get a temp. There is nothing available. And you have to teach according to the levels that are present in your class. The best you can do on internet is to find a test or assessment of some kind that will tell you the modalities that you have in your class. But unless you sit down, disaggregate data, and figure out the type of learners you have and on what level they are learning, differentiation is not going to be seen. I'm telling you. All right. So you don't have to beat them over the head with another training. Really, the issue is it takes time to do it, just like it takes time to plan. You can't plan, it takes a long time to plan lessons that are specific and according to the students that you have in your class. It takes a minute, okay? Can't download that. All right. So let's review a plan. Let's review one together. I have one that we're going to review together. Example 1 is a lesson plan for a team. So what I did with my professional learning communities, and some people have issues with this, I don't know why. It makes it easier for you. If you have a PLC or PLCs, if you have your PLCs organized, like all your 6th grade math teachers, all your 7th grade math teachers, they're organized, okay? Now, what I used to do is tell them, I had my teachers plan 6 weeks ahead of time. I realize in some states that's not allowed. And I even went back and forth with my district about it, right? Because they felt like it was too much. But the reason why I implemented it and the reason why it wasn't too much was because I was trying to force them to work as a team, right? So I required them to submit all 6 weeks of lesson plans. And I said to them, you can do this by yourself and do all 6 weeks, or you can work with your other teachers and just decide who's going to take what week. And I'm going to tell you what that helped me to do. So it helped me to be able to work with one teacher at a time at my own pace and help me to balance all of my tasks. Because if my PLCs have 6 teachers on them, right? And I have had that in some schools. So if one PLC has 6 teachers and I said, you can plan all 6 weeks, just everybody take a week, use your instructional pacing guide and take 1 week. So it allows me to read those plans, right? And have time to get back to all of them, so they'll have their plans organized better, okay? I also had my teachers to go through their lesson plans the week prior to teaching it, okay? So they had to explain their lesson plan, their thought process. So for new teachers, it helped them to go through the thought process. For experienced teachers, it helped them to be used, right? To help us with this process, right? Because they were available and they were operating in more of a mentorship type way, right? Using their experience and building the capacity of my new teachers so everybody could be on the same page, okay? All right, now it was not set in stone. You did not have to go, according to that lesson plan. I really had it where as long as you use the same exit tickets every day, I was okay. If you want to change, tweak, usually they don't do that because they don't want to spend all that time. All right. But sometimes every now and then I had a Lone Ranger and it only lasted a little while because they got tired. Okay. And they joined the team. All right. So I take lesson plans and I look for the 4 questions in the lesson plans. So easy. Okay. If I don't see answers to the 4 questions in the lesson plan, guess what? I send it back and I ask them questions about it based on the 4 questions, right? If you don't even have that, then I know you don't have the basics for student success, right? So this particular teacher, he outlined it for me. All right. So he said, question 1. He was like, here it is, Dr. Stevens. Question 1. He said, what do we want students to learn is right here. And he showed me where it was. I scrolled down. That's good. That's good, Aguirre. Then we scrolled down. Does he have question 2? How do we know they have learned it? Boom, right here. He put it in here. Now you may have to teach your teachers to do this. That's fine. You may have to go slow to go fast, but after a while, this will be so easy for you. Okay. How do we know they have learned it? Right here. He tells me. He expects his students to answer at least 3 out of 4 questions correctly. So he wants them to get at least 75%. And he gave me a snapshot of his exit ticket, what it was. So what I was able to do was look at this exit ticket, go back up here and look and make sure it's aligned. If the answer is yes, then great. I keep right on going. Okay, so now I'm looking for the answers to questions 3 and 4. So now I'm trying to see, okay, questions 3 and 4, what will we do if they don't know it? So if they don't know it, what he planned to do is here. He told me what he was going to do. He has some check for understanding here. Okay. And then he has some more here. Okay, so he's going to check again. And then he told me here, differentiated instruction, Dr. Stevens, this is what I'm going to do. So he told me exactly what he was going to do. And for this particular lesson, I was okay with that. Now, sometimes you may be like, sometimes I have to ask questions. Now you can fly with this one week. Now, next week, if you have the same stuff, I'm gonna be like, okay, tell me how you're going to do that. Like, what type of activities are you using during this time? And you may want to start out the gate with that. That's up to you. But being able to take those 4 questions and go, change the game for me.